Serpens is a constellation of the northern hemisphere, one of the 48 constellations listed by the 2nd century astronomer Ptolemy. It remains one of the 88 modern constellations defined by the International Astronomical Union. It is unique among the modern constellations in being split into two non-contiguous parts, Serpens Caput to the west and Serpens Cauda to the east. Between these two halves lies the constellation of Ophiuchus, the Serpent-Bearer. In figurative representations, the body of the serpent is represented as passing behind Ophiuchus between mu Serpentis in Serpens Caput and nu Serpentis in Serpens Cauda. The brightest star in Serpens is the red giant star Alpha Serpentis, or unequal high, in Serpens Caput, with an apparent magnitude of 2.63. Also located in Serpens Caput are the naked eye globular cluster Messier 5 and the naked eye variables are Serpentis and Tau 4 Serpentis. Notable extragalactic objects include Cepheus Sextet, one of the densest galaxy clusters known, ARP 220, the prototypical ultraluminous infrared galaxy, and Hoag's object, the most famous of the very rare class of galaxies known as ring galaxies. Part of the Milky Way's galactic plane passes through Serpens Cauda, which is therefore rich in galactic deep sky objects, such as the Eagle Nebula and its associated star cluster Messier 16. The nebula measures 70 light-years by 50 light-years and contains the pillars of creation, 3 dust clouds that became famous for the image taken by the Hubble Space Telescope. Other striking objects include the Red Square Nebula, one of the few objects in astronomy to take on a square shape, and Westerhout 40, a massive nearby star-forming region consisting of a molecular cloud and an H2 region. History. In Greek mythology, Serpens represents a snake held by the healer Asclepius, represented in the sky by the constellation Ophiuchus. Asclepius once killed a snake, but the animal was subsequently resurrected after a second snake placed a revival herb on it before its death. As snakes shed the skin every year, they were known as the symbol of rebirth in ancient Greek society, and legend says Asclepius would revive dead humans using the same technique he witnessed. Although this is likely the logic for Serpens' presence with Ophiuchus, the true reason is still not fully known. Sometimes, Serpens was depicted as coiling around Ophiuchus, but the majority of atlases showed Serpens passing either behind Ophiuchus's body or between his legs. In some ancient atlases, the constellations Serpens and Ophiuchus were depicted as two separate constellations, although more often they were shown as a single constellation. One notable figure to depict Serpens separately was Johann Bayer. Thus, Serpens stars are catalogued with separate Bayer designations from those of Ophiuchus. When Eugene Delporte established modern constellation boundaries in the 1920s, he elected to depict the two separately. However, this posed the problem of how to disentangle the two constellations, with Delporte deciding to split Serpens into two areas, the head and the tail, separated by the continuous Ophiuchus. These two areas became known as Serpens Caput and Serpens Cauda, caput being the Latin word for head and cauda the Latin word for tail. In Chinese astronomy, most of the stars of Serpens represented part of a wall surrounding a marketplace, known as Tianqi, which was in Ophiuchus and part of Hercules. Serpens also contains a few Chinese constellations. 2 stars in the tail represented part of Shilu, the tower with the market office. Another star in the tail represented Lise, jewel shops. One star in the head marked Tian Ruse, the crown prince's wet nurse, or sometimes rain. There were two serpent constellations in Babylonian astronomy, known as Mishusu and Basmu. It appears that Mishusu was depicted as a hybrid of a dragon, a lion and a bird, and loosely corresponded to Hydra. Basmu was a horned serpent and roughly corresponds to the Phi Iota Sigma constellation of Eudoxus of Cnidus, on which the Phi Iota of Sigma of Ptolemy is based. Characteristics: Serpens is the only one of the 88 modern constellations to be split into two disconnected regions in the sky, Serpens Caput and Serpens Cauda. The constellation is also unusual in that it depends on another constellation for context. Specifically, it is being held by the Serpent-Bearer Ophiuchus. Serpens Caput is bordered by Libra to the south, Virgo and Bootes to the east, Corona Borealis to the north, and Ophiuchus and Hercules to the west. Serpens Cauda is bordered by Sagittarius to the south, Scutum and Aquila to the east, and Ophiuchus to the north and west, covering 636.9 square degrees total. It ranks 23rd of the 88 constellations in size. It appears prominently in both the northern and southern skies during the northern hemisphere summer. Its main asterism consists of 11 stars, and 108 stars in total are brighter than magnitude 6.5, the traditional limit for naked eye visibility. Serpens Caput's boundaries, as set by Eugene Delporte in 1930, are defined by a 15-sided polygon, while Serpens Cauda's are defined by a 25-sided polygon. In the equatorial coordinate system, the right ascension coordinates of Serpens Caput's borders lie between 15 hours 10.4 minutes and 16 hours 22.5 minutes, while the declination coordinates are between 25.66 degrees and minus 03.72 degrees. Serpens Cauda's boundaries lie between right ascensions of 17 hours 16.9 minutes and 18 hours 58.3 minutes and declinations of 06.42 degrees and minus 16.14 degrees. The International Astronomical Union adopted the three-letter abbreviation SIR for the constellation in 1922.